What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I have a very exciting knife overview to do with you guys. This is the Damned Designs prototype Wendigo. You guys probably saw me unbox this the other day. Many of you have probably seen this knife appear in the network of other reviewers that are a lot like my channel. There's a whole bunch of us that have had a chance to finally handle this thing. We're going to talk about this. Before I do, I'm using this video to test a little bit different lighting. Real quick, in the comments section, if you could let me know, are you watching this on a TV, on a computer screen, or on your phone? And then below that, let me know, is the lighting good? Is it too bright? I'm trying to get a feel for lighting that I can, continuously do on future videos. So anyway, if you could do that for me, great. If not, that's okay too. Anyways, this is a prototype knife offered or soon to be offered by Damned Designs. Now, Damned Designs, the gentleman who is running that company, his name is Adrian D'Souza, is how you pronounce it. You can find him on Instagram if you want to take a look at his work. I think he started off making high-end fidget spinners. He's got some other EDC items. If you check back on my channel, you can see that I did a series of EDC items he called Damned EDC. There was a double finger knuck, a single finger knuck, and then there was a bottle opener, slash multi-tool. Really cool stuff. He's a really nice guy. He messaged me and some other people in my Passer group and said, would you guys take a look at this and give me some honest feedback? And of course, myself and others from the Passer group were happy to oblige. I want you guys to keep in mind something. This is a prototype knife, and I am a guy on YouTube who likes knives. I mean, I would love to say that I'm an enthusiast and that I know a lot what I'm saying. I'm a guy who entertains you guys. I use terminologies that you guys are familiar with. I've handled high-end knives that a lot of you guys have handled. But basically, I'm just presenting this information to you in a way that hopefully entertains you or has entertained, a few of you, which is why you guys subscribe to me. I am not, I'm not a knife maker. I'm not a knife designer. I know so little about the painstaking processes that go into that. I mean, Adrian sent me pictures from what I imagine was design software. There's a lot of engineering and a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears that go into designing a folding knife. It's a pretty complicated, even if it's only a few pieces, it's very complicated, I would imagine, to get everything to work correctly. So that is the fact that what he ended up with. This is a prototype knife that's made by Tuya Knives. Those of you who, I'm going to get back to what I was talking about. Those of you who are also subscribed to Nick Shabazz, he reviewed a knife called the Hive here recently that was manufactured by Tuya Knives. So if you want to get information there, he's got a little bit more information on that video. But anyways, that's who's making this knife for Adrian. And but anyways, there's a lot that goes into it that I don't know a lot about. So I'm not going to be overly hypercritical. I'm going to, give my impressions of the knife, how it looks, how it functions, things like that. But the final product of this that will be available to everybody will probably be quite a bit different, as is the case with many prototype knives or prototype things in general. So what I urge you to do is, as soon as you're done watching my video on this, go watch, some of the other channels that are like mine. Check and see if they've had a chance to take a look at this prototype and listen to their thoughts as well, because that's really what Adrian's doing. He's just kind of getting some feedback, kind of feeling things out. But the final product will be different. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. It's awkward to review a prototype because it's a prototype. It's not a finished product. So I wanted to be fair there and make sure that you guys knew where I was coming from this with this review. Real quick here, let's walking over here to get the measuring tape. I forgot. Let's go ahead and take some measurements on this guy. Overall length of the Wendigo prototype is going to be about 7 1/4 inches. Please excuse the motorcycle going by. From tip to scale on the blade length, you're looking at, you could call it 3 1/4 back here. At the top of the scale, you call it 3 inches. Your cutting edge is about 3 inches on the dot. So this is a nice size knife, not massive, definitely a nice EDC sized knife. I'll go ahead and give you an example of the flipping action here. really, for a prototype, the detent does have that click, and it does have the definite breakaway. And as far as like the angle of the flipper tab, this feels good. It feels like it's designed to flip. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the organic position that my hands fall into while I'm trying to brace on the knife, so that I can get that nice push button feeling that I like. So for viewers and for Adrian alike, if you're wondering, yes, this does feel very organic as a flipper. I'm happy with that. It's not. This is running on bearings. It does not have quite the fall shuddy. It's not really a fall shuddy action. It's a little bit of a shake shuddy action. We'll talk about that here in a sec. But keep in mind that the action will probably feel a lot more luxurious in the final product. Weight on this full titanium frame lock is coming in at only 4.09 ounces. From what I remember here, is there some milling? There's a little bit of milling on the inside. Yeah, there's some milling on the inside. So you've got some nice generous titanium, but the milling allows it to be full titanium and right at about 4.1 ounces, right around there. So it's a nice weight and a nice size. Let's talk about the materials on this one and the materials that are to be expected in the final product. Now, I've got my iPad off screen where I had messaged him a bunch of questions, things that I wanted to make sure and get right when I did this overview. The steel that's on this guy is S35VN. However, the final version is aimed to be M390, so keep that in mind. What we've got here is a satin finish on the blade. I believe he has satin and tumble finishes that are going to be available. I like how this looks, Adrian, and a lot of people I think are really going to like how this looks. This is just my opinion, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who disagree with me. I like that you've got grind lines going vertically here and horizontally on the flat. And I like how the grind lines, where they're going on the top. I kind of would like to see the grind lines follow suit with the angles and come straight down to the edge here. Though that's a super nitpicky little thing, and maybe you already plan to do that in the final product. It is nothing beyond aesthetics, and it's probably not even a useful suggestion. That's just me liking the aesthetics of other Tanto blades that are satin finished and watching or seeing those grind lines sort of follow suit with the angle, if that makes sense. There are other blade shapes planned for this knife. This is a modified Tanto version. I'm going to talk about how much I love this blade shape. I really, really like it, despite not being a traditional fan of Tantos. But he also has a sheep's foot blade being prototyped now. And then these aren't confirmed, but he's designing a drop point blade and a regular Tanto. So as far as the only thing that he really confirmed with me that's being prototyped is the sheep's foot blade, which I think is great. You're going to have a nice spread, traditional drop point blade. You're going to have a more aggressive Tanto from what I remember seeing. And then, your this blade shape, I think, this is super cool. I'm a big fan of that. Here on this blade, we've got a sort of bead blasted finished titanium with a blue anodized titanium pivot there and a nice what is the shape I'm talking about here? Is it a hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 sides. Looking through the camera here. Some nice vertical lines that sort of follow suit with the handle. Everything is nicely rounded off. It's very nice to the touch. There's no sharp edges anywhere. It looks nice without being too crazy. Let me say that. I really like how simple this knife is, but you've got some character added in there, some lines that kind of add something that looks good without being like, just crazy all over the place. Something I didn't like about the Hive knife that was also made by Tuya Knives out of China that Nick Shabazz reviewed is I didn't like all those shapes and stuff all over it. It was weird. I like this. Now, everybody's going to be different, but visually, I enjoy that. Something else that I think is really cool is how he's putting his logo down here. You can see here on the zipper pouch that it comes with, this sort of case / zipper pouch, which I really like. His logo's cool, the little half knocked out facial expression. He's done that with the screw back here. I like that. I think that's cool. I mean, you know, in terms of utility, it doesn't add anything, but it's nice. It's a nice touch. It's a way for him to put his logo on there. And I think it looks great. Back here we have a very simple and, in my opinion, perfect backspacer and lanyard loop setup. This is unobtrusive. It looks nice. It's seamless. It adds an opportunity for color contrast up against a, just a regular titanium frame. This is nice. I love this. The short little backspacer. I'm a big fan of that. The knife is centered. We do have a steel lock bar insert screw that's also been anodized, and that does double as the over travel stop, so it's got everything there as far as what you guys would want. We have a nice flat simple pocket clip. Here's what I'll say about the pocket clip. Love that it's simple. Love that it's wide. You know, a lot of times when you get a really simple pocket clip, it's a skinny, tiny little thing. This is a nice wide pocket clip. It's going to carry about right here, so not a lot of the knife sticking up. It follows suit with the curvature of the knife, carries really nicely. Doesn't have the divot and sort of, bill swoop that I enjoy on a knife like, well, let's use the MXG deep carry clip. I prefer a setup like this, but as far as a pocket clip functioning well as a pocket clip and also looking nice, you're following suit with the design or curvature of the knife, yeah, perfect. That's all it needs to be. It looks great. No sharp edges on that. As far as where you're holding it, no, there's no hot spot whatsoever. Despite this knife only being 7¼ inches overall, you can, even somebody that's got, medium, large size hands such as myself, you can still get your full hand all the way around it. There is meaningful jimping back here on the blade. This is nice. I also really like how thin the blade stock is. It's actually thinner. It's only, here's your 125,000 stock thick Ritter Hogue. So you can see there it's actually even thinner than that, meaning the final edge, though he did say was an imperfect edge, the final edge on the final version will be much better. It definitely does get nice and thin behind the edge. Let's see, what other thing? Oh yeah, so as far as I know, there's going to be this finish on the handle and also a black DLC titanium frame available, which in my opinion looks very striking up against this blue hardware. I don't always go for colored hardware. You guys know I like monochromatic stuff. So, ideally for me, if they had like this and maybe some satin polished hardware, I probably would go for that. But I would also go for a black DLC titanium frame and some polished hardware. But I will say this, as far as colored hardware goes up against, frames, that blue and black DLC frame looks really good. Really good. And, Adrian, if you offered a black DLC blade to go along with that, maybe I think that would even appeal to more people. But the original picture I got was black with blue hardware and a satin blade, and it was striking. I love that. I think that in M390 is really going to turn some heads, especially with this crazy, unique, modified Tanto blade you've got going on here. Let's see. Oh, well, no, I don't want to get to that just yet. Let me get to the second page here. To your knives. So I asked him what his target release date was and what retail, things like that. So he's going to do a pre-order, I believe. Wanted to take them to pre-order after a few reviews went up. So, after he kind of gets a feel for it, he's going to do a pre-order, and that's all the information that I have, which brings me to my next point here. You guys are probably wanting to know what's the price point of these guys. So, for titanium bearings, steel lock bar insert, over travel stop, a nice, smoothed out design, really good fit and finish. This blade shape, did I say M390? He's looking at a target price point of $200 retail or $175 for people who want to pre-order it. $175 for a full titanium frame lock flipper with a really cool blade shape. Yeah, there's a lot of competition out there, but my God, that's a fair price, guys. I think that's really cool. Now, what remains to be seen is the final product of this knife. I hope that the final product, is everything that we want it to be. This is impressive. I really like how it feels as a flipper. I love the blade shape. I love the material choices, the look, everything like that. Not to mention, it's not just aesthetically the blade shape, but this modified sort of stubby Tanto is an excellent, tool shape that's it makes me think of kind of the razzle, you know, but the razzle was more of almost a 90-degree angle setup scraper. But you do have kind of a scraper blade set up here with some additional strength added to, say, a traditional Tanto. But it's thin enough, you know, the fact that he's got this blade shape adds an enormous amount of strength considering how much flat or what percentage of the length of the blade is flat. It looks to be about 80%. So you get the benefit of all that strength. You still have a tip. You have a nice package opening angle there. Scraper tip and main cutting tip. I mean, that is a utilitarian blade shape if I have ever seen one. I don't like Tantos, but I like that. That's super cool. And it's different. You know, it's not like crazy mega ultra different, but it's different enough to turn some heads, you know, in this market. It's just saturated. We're so full of drop point titanium frame lock bearing flippers, you know, like he's got a simple handle design that works, and that's all the more it needs to be. But his striking feature, his wow factor on this knife, to me, is that blade shape. I mean, if anything's going to do it for him, it's going to be that blade shape. You, Adrian. Sorry, I keep saying him. I got to remember I'm talking to you and the viewers here. But that's what I told him in the conversation. I said, I really, really love that blade shape, and I'm so happy to see it in person now and see that it looks good. One thing I will say is, you know, the action on this prototype isn't super duper smooth. Like it's smooth, but it's got a little bit of friction in it, and I have to imagine that's just partially because I'm not the first person to handle it, and also partially because it's a prototype. It's an unfinished product. I will say the detent ball path seems to be falling over where the blade has been ground. I would assume, I'm not an knife maker, I would assume you'd want a perfectly flat surface, and maybe that's something that's planned to be changed on there. But and I also think, you know, maybe if there's a way to polish that surface or whatever you need to do to make it ultra smooth. I mean, you know, Adrian knows this, you guys know this. What we expect from our flipper frame locks in this day and age is, of course, the breakaway. That, you know, that feeling, that feeling that we get now that detents have been figured out, of the ball breaking away and the blade snapping into place. The angle of the flipper tab that allows you to do a light switch and a push button, and this is all great. We also want the detent click, where we feel the detent being snapped into place. That one's not quite a click, but it's not a mush either. I imagine the final product will be clicky. We want, of course, no blade play, up, down, left, or right. We want reliable lock face geometry. This looks to be just fine. We like to see the centering be on. I imagine that, you know, that it's the case here, and I imagine it will be the case in the final product. And we want smooth action. It doesn't need to be perfectly false shut, but most of us like a nice wiggle shut action at this price point. And I think anything that you can do to make sure that that action is everything that everybody expects from that price point is worth it. And the reason I'm talking about this is just because I noticed where that detent ball path is. I think it just needs to be on a flat surface. But again, guys, to everybody, I don't make knives, so I don't know. I'm just repeating information that I've heard online, or sort of, you know, that answer, that suggestion is based on information that I have obtained by watching other YouTube channels like mine and from reading on the forums and stuff like that. That's all the experience that I have. You know, the only advice I can give is from the perspective of somebody who loves to fidget and play with knives. This knife has the potential to be an amazing user, both outdoors, as an actual functional tool. It has the potential to be a perfect, nice EDC size knife or office carry knife given the overall size and blade length. And it also has the potential to be a really cool fidget, you know, have that fidget factor with that wow factor. You know, we kind of, as consumers, we like to see those two things combined. Really, really cool visual blade shape with the fun factor of flipping it over and over and over again on the couch. You know, we like to do that thing where or at least if you're like me, I like to move this out of the way, have it fall past the detent ball, you know, and then fall shut. You've got that figured out where it falls past the detent ball, and then I can shake this shut. I think it just needs to be a little bit more in that department where I can manipulate it with one hand or sort of do that kick into place thing. You know, a lot of my viewers are going to know what I'm talking about, where you kind of like to just kick it and it goes right back into the handle. that's kind of the fidget factor that everybody likes. I hope I'm not totally alone on that, but that would be my one suggestion. Other than that, I'm super excited for this knife. I love how simple the construction appears. It looks like there's one screw, and then you unscrew this other side, this non-show side Torx head pivot, and then possibly the pocket, and the whole thing just comes apart. That's awesome, because that means maintenance on this thing is going to be super easy. I love that. Really, really nice design. Love the shape. Love the look. I think this really has the potential to be a great knife. One more thing, and this is going to be just me, and some of you guys might be wondering, like, is he going to say this one thing? I'd love a finger choil, but I know that's just me. I love knives with finger choils. This is already not the longest blade in the whole world, so a finger choil would just be for somebody like me who just wants it there. But you would have to sacrifice quite a bit of the total percentage of the blade if you're going to dedicate part of it to a finger choil, and it's, it may not be worth it. Most people are probably going to want the utility of the entire blade, so I'm probably going to be more alone there than not. Yeah. This is great. This is super cool. Thank you for the opportunity to take a look at this and talk about it. I'm excited. Very, very cool. So, guys, that is going to be pretty much it. And you know what? I'm going to take one last look at my list of questions here before I get done, just to make sure 100% went over everything. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we went over all of it. Handles are PVD vest, don't understand PVD silver. Oh, so also handles, what he's planning is PVD black, the stone washed handle, and the PVD silver. Now, I don't know if this is a bead blast finish or if this is actually PVD gray. It kind of feels like it's bead blasted, but I don't know. Maybe it is PVD. Keep in mind, again, this is a prototype, so this version of the knife may not be available at all, or not this exact version. But those are the different color schemes on the handle that he has planned. Adrian, if I left anything out, I'm sorry. I tried to be as detailed as possible there with my questions. But in any case, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check that stuff out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there is definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.